Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan, and what a game week it's been. Another tragic game week. I feel like I'm saying this pretty much every single week. Just one of those game weeks where, like, everything is just so random. Like, everything seems to be going in a way that just cannot be predicted. It really is quite crazy this season and how it's been going. And I know I've kind of spoken a little bit about how the randomness factor seems to have been dialed up to 100 this season. I'm kind of becoming more and more convinced that that's the case, and we're going to try and prove that theory today. We're going to try and work out what we can do about it. But honestly, guys, I have to admit to you, I'm finding it genuinely quite a bit of a struggle to make FPL videos right now, because I love making videos, don't get me wrong. But what I want to do is give you the best advice I possibly can. And I felt recently like, you know, I've let you down with some of my shouts. You know, this week I sort of said, you know, buy Foden. He gets benched by Pep. Buy Saka. He gets that assist. He gets injured and subbed off. And the person who comes on and replaces him, Reece Nelson, gets 2 goals and an assist. It's been really tough, and I feel like I've been letting you guys down, but at the same time, what can I do? What can any of us content creators do? You know, there's been a lot of content creators that have been struggling for points recently. It's been a grind, you know. You can look at some of the... Now, I'm glad I'm not one of these, to be fair, but there are a lot of, you know, FPL content creators as well who have, like, these premium subscription services where you've got to pay them to get the advice, and they're not doing great either, because the randomness has just been dialed up to 100. Like I say, like, what can I do? So I decided to rack my brain and kind of figure out how I can help you guys out in a season where results seem so random, where we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to score. We don't know who's going to do well. I've got a solution for you guys. And here it is. This, you can see in front of you right now, is a wheel of names. A wheel of the names of the players in my team. So, hopefully, this new solution is going to help us to pick our FPL teams. And I'll share this. I will share this as well with you guys. But, here we have the 15 players in my team. I need to decide who I'm going to remove. So, rather than looking at the stats, rather than looking at the predicted points, what am I going to do? I'm going to spin the wheel. So, let's start us off with a spin. So, the player I will be removing this week is going to be Cancelo? Trippier. Okay, we're going to be removing Trippier. Fine. And we're going to replace him with... Now, this wheel is... this wheel is a little bit bigger. This wheel has a lot of names. In fact, I could have been, you know, I could have done several wheels and done one wheel per position. I was kind of lazy, so we may have to spin this wheel several times. But this wheel contains the names, this took me a while, of every single player, every single player who is in FPL. Every single, think of one right now. Their name is on this. So, we're removing Trippier. Who are we going to bring in? Let's find out. And the wheel of names. Oh, I can't even see who it is. I can't, like... Get your glasses on, guys. I can't see. And we're going to be bringing in Leon Bailey. But we can't bring him in because he's a midfielder. So, we spin again. We spin again and we'll find a defender. This is the one. This is the one. You tell me that Trippier is the one guy you don't want to remove. There's no such thing as someone you don't want to remove. Right. Who we got? Barnes. Not going to put him hard. Barnes is a midfielder. Yeah, maybe I should have split this up into different positions. Right, Trippier out. And in comes... Sam Max. A lot of midfielders. A lot of midfielders on this wheel. We'll keep spinning. We will keep spinning until we get the player that we need to replace with Trippier. Laporte. There we go. So, logic dictates that there's no such thing as logic. So, the spinny wheel of randomness has decided that in game week 15, Laporte is going to outscore Trippier. Now, you're going to tell me, no way, Trippier is so good. Like, how can he possibly miss? Come back to this. Come back to this video in a week's time, And I would say there is a huge chance, given the way the season has been going, there's a huge chance that somehow Laporte outscores Trippier. Somehow. It will happen. So, there we go. That's the wheel of randomness. I actually got 2 free transfers, so we may as well do one more spin. One more spin for good measure. We're also going to remove Andreas. Okay. That's fine. We can remove Andreas. Now it's time to give us a midfielder. Now it won't give us a midfielder, guaranteed. With Pep, you don't trust? I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything right now. So, Willian. We're swapping a Fulham midfielder for another Fulham midfielder. So, Willian is the other transfer. There you go. So, Willian to outscore Andreas this week. Laporte to outscore Trippier this week. This is where we are at. I wish we weren't. I wish I could come on this stream and say, hey guys, I've got this strategy that is going to revolutionize everything. But the way this season has been going, it really has been quite random. And we're gonna try and back that up with some actual try and give some evidence of that, because I know a few of you guys will be saying, you know, it's not been random, it's been easy. Probably because you're on the good end of the randomness. I had on Twitter, I said, you know, this season is pretty crazy. It's been so random. And someone replied saying, well, I mean, you know, like Bentancur, he was always a great pick. Everyone was just overlooking him. I'm sorry. This is hindsight bias, right? This is hindsight bias. Look, like I had a conversation with FPL Raptor. I don't know if you've watched his videos before over on Twitter. I said that, and this was before the game week even started. Speaking of Bentancur, because it was the exact same player, coincidentally. But I put on Twitter, you know, this season has been so random. You may as well spin a magic wheel to decide what transfer to make. And Raptor came back and he said, all right, my magic wheel said to take out Saka and put in Bentancur. He was saying that as a joke. He was saying that as in, Saka's a great pick, there's no way I'd want to remove him. Bentancur's a terrible pick, there's no way I'd want to put him in. And guess what happened? Who do you think scored more points out of Saka? And you can go to Twitter and you can find this conversation. This happened a few days ago before the game week even started. Obviously, Saka, was it 4 points for Saka today? 4 points for Saka. There we go. Boom. Bentancur, 8 points. This is where we are at. Sounds like a rant, doesn't it? But it's a bit of fun. But this is where we're at. Right. Let's prove this theory. Let's prove this theory. Now, you guys may remember on the deadline stream, sometimes what I like to do is I like to look at the predicted points for players. And I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I've kept this page from last week. This should still be game week 14 predicted points. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's updated to game week 15. Okay, well, maybe I can't prove it then. But anyway, what I was going to do was I was going to show you the predicted points for game week 14 and try and compare them to actual points. But maybe someone put on Twitter, I think some people put on Twitter predicted points. Game week 14 predicted points. If we can find that, and then we'll just compare it. I was going to do it by the Fantasy Football Hub. Oh, there you go. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. I don't think. Wait, or was it? What am I doing? 28th of October. Okay, so here we go. Here were the players with the highest predicted points for game week 14. These were the top, 10 highest predicted points. And now I want to show you the actual highest predicted points, or actual highest points of the round. So you can see Wilson's nowhere to be seen. Neither is Nelson. No surprise there. Moore, Almiron, me, Mitchell, Pickford. De Bruyne, bit of a crossover there. Trippier, Leno, Havertz, Guaita, Edison, Neves. You seen any of these names on here? I'm not. Party, Erdegaard, nope. Well, Jesus and Martinelli are on there, to be fair. Rashford did well. He was not in the highest, top 10 predicted points. Bentancur, Estepinian, Gross, Trossard, Ward, Cody, Diop, Melier, Somerville, Robertson, and then Salah, he's on there. So, out of all of these players, only 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were actually one of the highest scoring players. It is quite mad. So 8 predicted points for Salah. That worked out pretty well. But I mean, look, these 10 players were expected to score high. And you can kind of understand that. And this is kind of a problem we have faced this season, because we've got teams like, I mean, like, let's just go to the Premier League table, for example. It tells you everything you need to know. So if we go to the league table of the Premier League, well, that's a terrible league table. Premier League table. Just go on Google. So you can see here, guys, we've got teams like Liverpool down in 9th. Nobody expected that. We've got Fulham up in 7th. Nobody's expecting that. Nobody expected Newcastle to be this high. We've got teams like Manchester United doing bad at the beginning of the season, then suddenly turning it on. We've got Chelsea with the most random results, seemingly. Spurs, again, really, really inconsistent. And we're in a Premier League season where it's so wide open. So wide open, guys. You know, Arsenal are top. Who thought that was going to happen? You know? And everything else is so close. If you look at the points at the bottom, for example, how often do we get it by 13 games in? And we've got all of these teams still heavily in a relegation battle. Anyway, like, arguably Liverpool, they're only 7 points above bottom place Nottingham Forest. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to go down, but my point is that it is so tight and it's so, not cagey, but the results are so spread out, and it's become like impossible to predict. Like, I put another tweet up yesterday, but we'll go through that. If we look at the players who scored high this week and their percentage ownership, let's just go for the first 3. Wilson, by the way, at the time before he scored all of his FPL points, Wilson was on about what, 2%? He's obviously up a little bit now because everyone's transferring him in. But Wilson was on 2%. Reece Nelson, second highest scoring player of the game week. He'll be on 19 when he gets his bonus point. So joint first. And he is a 0.0% owned player. 0.0. So not even 1 in 1,000 people have Reece Nelson in their team. Do you not find that absolutely mental? More. You know, we're all thinking, hey, this Spurs lineup looks bad. Maybe Bournemouth can do something by some miracle. Dominic Solanke's surely going to do the business. Kiefer Moore. Almiron, fair enough. Decent shout. Fair enough to anyone who bought Almiron. But if I'm totally honest with you guys, even Newcastle, we looked at the numbers. You guys may have joined me in looking at the numbers on the deadline stream. We looked at the numbers and we saw that Aston Villa were performing as one of the best defences in the league. That is a fact, by the way. I know we don't really rate Aston Villa, and neither do I, to be fair. But they were putting up some decent defensive numbers. Newcastle scored 4 goals against them. How does that happen? 4-0. The 0 is probably predictable, but the 4. Darth Vader in the chat says, randomness is always there in FPL. What's your point? Of course it is, but not to this extent. Not to this extent. Did anyone pick Nelson, Moore, me, Mitchell, Pickford, you know, Leno, Havertz? Some of these players are decent shouts, to be fair. Like, I'm not saying that these are bad players to pick. Like, Wilson is a decent player to own. Almiron's obviously a decent player to own. Mitchell I don't mind, but wouldn't be one of my favourites. De Bruyne obviously, Trippier obviously. But, you know, outside of that, like Leno, Havertz. We all thought, okay, let's get on some Arsenal players. Like, we were all saying, Arsenal players. Let's get on some Arsenal players for this Nottingham Forest game. There's a good chance Arsenal have a really nice response here, right? We'll see if they can do the business. Who do we go for? Oh, surely we go for Martinelli. We'll go for Saka. We'll go for Gabriel Jesus. Reece Nelson is the one who comes up and gets everything, right? Andrew says it's called variance. It happens every so often. This is not called. Then this is not variance. Variance is where you have a 50-50. Well, my interpretation of variance is when you have like a 50-50 decision and you get a swing one way or the other. You know, you and another FPL manager, you're equally good, for example, and one of you goes for Saka this week and the other one goes for Almiron this week. Both good picks, but one destroys the other. Absolutely destroys them, and that's variance. Yes, this is kind of variance in a way, but this is more than variance. This is unpredictability. So, look, it's really difficult to say what to do. We are going to seem to continue to get this randomness because we've got it a lot this season. It's going to be a difficult FPL season. For anyone who rates themselves at FPL, it's going to be a tricky one for you. It's going to be a difficult season. You know, you're going to have situations where people... Well, I mean, look, if on the other hand, if you don't really rate yourself as at FPL as much, this is definitely your opportunity, right? This is your opportunity to get one over on some of your rivals, because any stats nerd like me... Oh, I've got a cat in the room. Does anyone want to say hello to the FPL Mate resident kitten? Well, I say kitten. He's quite a big boy. There he is. Say hello. He's actually enjoying being held for some reason. Yeah, this is going to be a season where you're going to have some opportunities. Because us stats nerds, the stats nerds like me, the stats nerds like I'm sure some of you guys are as well. Some of you guys who, you know, you're really invested in your FPL content. You're looking around, you're trying to find some opportunities to get the edge over people. The edge isn't really there at the moment. The edge isn't really there. Marco in the chat has put another great point. Fulham, 30 shots. Mitrovic, 10 shots, 0 goals. Fulham absolutely dominated Everton. Absolutely dominated them. Mitrovic, nothing. Andres creating chances after chance after chance. Gets nothing. How do you predict this? You can't. But with all that said, it doesn't really mean you should stop trying, right? Now, I made the joke about, you know, picking random players and seeing if they do well. That could work. Of course it could work. However, I still feel like there is, you know, there is still things we can take from stats and from watching games as well. I think we need to be careful not to jump on players like Kiefer Moore. I mean, I'd be kind of tempted, don't get me wrong, with Leeds and Everton up next. But we still would probably say Solanke is the better of the two forwards, right? Despite that one game week. Look, we're not suddenly going to transfer in Ben Mee up against, Nottingham Forest isn't bad, but, you know, Man City in 16. We're not suddenly going to do that, right? I would say that Crystal Palace were pretty lucky to keep their clean sheet, and I say that as an Anderson owner. I don't think we suddenly transfer in Tyreek Mitchell necessarily. You do have to be in it to win it. And I do feel like we need to try and do something. Did the AI pick any of the high-scoring players, Lewis? No. Nobody picked some of the highest-scoring players. I say nobody. Look, I really don't want I really don't want you to get me twisted. Like, anyone who went for players like Wilson, like, you guys will know, if you've been watching my content for a while, you know I rate Callum Wilson very, very highly. So I'm not saying he's a bad pick. But what I am saying is, in a world where we were probably looking at, you know, Haaland, obviously, we're all going to have him in our team. Probably looking at Harry Kane, he's been doing well. You know, Tony, Mitrovic is in and amongst teams. Solanke. It's difficult for everyone to have Callum Wilson unless we get a game week like this game week where we're kind of forced to consider Callum Wilson. I'm not saying he's a bad pick, but he's not a pick that you can get to with research. You know, if you are doing research to try and figure out who the best player is to go for game week 14, you are probably more likely to arrive at Gabriel Jesus. You're probably more likely to arrive at maybe Alvarez with Haaland injured. You know, there's many a player. Mitrovic, you know, against Everton, we expected big things. We almost got big things. Your research, any research you're going to do is going to equally lead you to one of those other players than it is Callum Wilson. And those other players got nothing, zilch. So it's really difficult right now. But it doesn't mean we stop trying. Is what I'm saying. And also don't feel disheartened if you had a bad game week this week. Usually we get game weeks like this maybe twice, 3 times per season. We've already had 5, 6, 7. It's just one of those seasons, I guess. You know, we previously I was saying, it's just not one of those game weeks. It's not. It's one of those. It's one of those seasons. And if you are struggling this year, you're not alone. You are definitely not alone. Obviously, my rank is absolutely in the mud right now. I don't know how, I look at this team and I think, how did this team not score more? It is wild, even if Haaland wasn't playing, Foden would have been nice. Mitrovic we expected more from, and Andreas. Zaha has been a huge letdown, hasn't he? It's difficult, and a lot of top FPL managers. I think I finished on 60 points after the one bonus point for Martinelli. I think that's how it is. There are a lot of. I'm not including myself in that category, by the way, but the guy Fabio Borges, who is recognized as the best FPL manager in the world. He only scored 60 points this week. We've got other content creators scoring 50 points. We've got people who literally you have to pay to access their content, premium FPL managers, if you like. They are getting 50 some as low as 45 points this week. So don't beat yourself up if you did badly this week. It's one of those weeks. It's one of those seasons. It's one of those things. This is life. This is not usually FPL, but it is this season. As long as you're enjoying the football, then whatever. But I do wonder if I don't know. Does the content become obsolete? I don't think so. I'm still going to make my decisions based on logic, or at least try to. FPL Focal in the chat, 54 pointers here. There you go, 54 pointers for FPL Focal. Another fantastic, phenomenal FPL manager with a disappointing week. So, guys, don't worry. We're all in this together. Well, we're not all in this together, because I can see a few people in the chat saying, I got 81 points. 81 points, luck. Absolute luck. That is, and it as well. You've maybe got a little bit jammy there, but look, it's, to be fair, it only takes having Callum Wilson in your team, and then maybe you've got a very different score. I think I saw someone in the chat earlier who said they triple captained Callum Wilson. That is luck. That is just luck. I'm on 62, double L. It's an L. I think it's an L. Anyway, we've spoken about game week 14 enough. I'm going to go on for another, 20 minutes, half an hour. Let's talk about some of the key topics, because we can look back at game week 14. The fact is, game week 14's done. We may as well move on. If we look at the kind of transfer moves we want to be making, I imagine a lot of you guys are going to be wanting to remove Saka, which I think is reasonably sensible. Saka, obviously, injury, doesn't look great, possibly out for a couple of game weeks. So yeah, Saka is going to, in all likeliness, need to be removed. Obviously, don't rush into anything unless you really, really want to. Unless you really don't like Saka. To be fair, the next game is up against Chelsea anyway. So there is reason to remove Arsenal players anyway. Although the randomness factor, you wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal pumped Chelsea 5-0. I would not mind that at all. Yeah, so Saka is a player you could possibly remove right now. Zaha, I think, has been really disappointing the last couple of games. It's just put in poor performances. It's not that he's been unlucky. He's just not looked good. Full stop. Haaland, I would really, really, really be hesitant. Really hesitant about removing. I'm not saying that he is going to be fit for game week 15. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But what I am saying is that if he is fit, he plays against Fulham at home, and we can go. Let's hop on Fantasy Football Hub and have a look at some. Let's have a look at the defenses. Let's go game week. Let's go game week 9 onwards. Then at least everyone's had at least one game per appearance. Expected goals conceded, and you can see bottom of the table, Fulham. So Fulham really are the worst of the worst defences, and we've been speaking about that for a couple of weeks, about how we should be targeting Fulham. It's been difficult to target Fulham recently because Fulham have played the likes of, Everton and Aston Villa, who don't really have great forwards to go for. But when a team who defends as badly as Fulham, who concede as many chances as a team like Fulham, plays against a Man City, this is where we get our 8-0s. 8-0s don't come about very often. Sometimes they do. This is the situation where we do get the 8-0s. So, So, oh, the website crashing as well, by the way, another factor of randomness last week. Did any of you guys get affected by the website, the FPL website crashing at 5 minutes to the line? We move. But yeah, look, this is like on for like an 8-0, and I would want to be doubled up on the Man City attack. Like Haaland, if available, he is like the most. If you're Haaland has been a must captain every game week this season, right? This is the peak. This is the peak of must captains. You know, Haaland at home against Fulham. If he can score hat tricks against the likes of Palace and Forest and Manchester United, this is going to be his first 4-goal game, I reckon. He's going to absolutely destroy it. Absolutely destroy it. Foden. So many rests. I know I keep saying this, but surely Phil Foden is not just permanently on the bench now. Surely not. If Foden is starting against Fulham, he is absolutely essential. More essential than De Bruyne. If both Foden and De Bruyne play, Foden is the better pick. 1, because he's 4 million cheaper, but 2, because like his stats are actually better. I think they are anyway. They were last time I checked. Maybe I should double check that before saying it so definitively. But let's go. Let's discount the lot. Actually, can I discount the last per start? Let's go per start. The last few game weeks. Sort by X points. There you go. Foden. 3.25 shots per. Actually, let's just do a direct comparison. Another one of the many fantasy football tools that are epic. Foden versus De Bruyne. Per start, look at these attacking numbers, man. Yes, De Bruyne is obviously a creative machine, but if you look at the things that get you the FPL points are the goals, really, with midfielders, because you get 2 more points for a goal than you do an assist. So XG higher, big chances higher, shots in the box higher, shots on target higher, shots slightly lower. So I'm not sure what data set this is taking, but still, touches in the box higher. Yes, De Bruyne is creating more. You can see that on the red kind of part of this diagram. What's this called? A spiderweb diagram? I don't know. But yeah, Foden's numbers in terms of taking shots on and looking likely to get goals, and this is going to be a game of goals, looks very good. So yeah, I would say that Foden, even if they're the same price, Foden probably just edges it if they both start the game. I mean, who's to say De Bruyne doesn't get his rest, But yeah, this is what I'm saying. Foden, if he starts, like ideally, the triple up you want for this game week is actually going to be, Foden, Haaland, De Bruyne. Assuming they all start, which is another point of randomness. But the upside here is enormous. It really is enormous. So, Foden is a player I would not be thinking about removing. If I didn't have Foden, I would still be buying him this game week, because the opportunity for FPL points is just phenomenal in this game. Like I'm saying, this has the potential for an 8-0. And it's going to be Haaland, it's going to be Foden, it's going to be De Bruyne. Cancelo may chip in with the odd assist, maybe get a goal in there as well. You never know if it is an 8-0. It can happen. But no, those Man City attackers are going to be so essential to have in your team. Really, really essential. So, they stay. Haaland, only remove him if you know for 100% he's going to be out. It would pretty much be my advice on him. If he's not, if we think he is going to be out this game week, then I am thinking about removing him and even think about putting in De Bruyne. So what I could do personally is I could do something like this. So, and this isn't this scenario if, Haaland is unavailable. You switch the premiums, Haaland out, De Bruyne in, and then Callum Wilson. That works, doesn't it? Something like that. That's something that I would do probably if Haaland is unavailable. A few people saying Mitro out. Yeah, Mitro plays against Man City. I want to have a look at his numbers, actually. I want to have a look at Mitrovic's non-penalty. So, goal threat. Oh, have I messed this up somehow? It's giving me a lot of nans. Little nans over here. More grandparents than I can deal with. Right, Mitrovic. Then we were going to go on goal threat, and we want to have a look at his non-penalty XG per appearance over the last, I don't know, few game weeks. Oh, it's not liking that. Right, let's set the game weeks first to here. Then go Mitrovic. Apologies, guys. And then go goal threat, and then non-penalty XG per appearance. That doesn't look right. I think this website may be slightly broken right now. Why is it broken? That's my question. Is the goal threat tool broken? I just wanted to look at non-penalty XG. I know his XG is pretty good. I want to see his non-penalty XG. Because that's probably his total rather than per appearance, isn't it? That doesn't look per appearance. Oh well. So, Mitrovic playing well still. He is still playing well. You can't say he's not playing well. Is he a must-sell? I don't think he's a must-sell. Is he an optional sell? Yeah, I think so. Man City next, then Man United. These are not great fixtures. Remember, though, guys, that he did do well early on this season. But I guess in hindsight, when we looked at him doing well against Liverpool, 2 goals against Liverpool, we all thought, wow, Mitrovic can do it against the big dogs. But can Liverpool defensively be considered one of the big dogs this season? Probably not. Same here with Arsenal. He scored against Spurs. Sorry, Arsenal. I do think are obviously a big dog this season, but Spurs scored against Spurs. Is he fixture proof, or are Spurs just not that great? I'm probably leaning towards Spurs being not that great, Liverpool not being that great defensively. So, yeah, I'm not expecting too much from him. Like, certainly he's not going to get the chances he's got against Everton, against the likes of City and Man United. So, yeah, he's definitely an optional sell. He's not a must-sell. Abiroop says, have you lost faith on Zaha, Dan? Zaha to Almiron. Yes, I have lost faith in Zaha, definitely. He's just not looked good. He's not looked good at all. Yeah, it's just his performances have been bad, and when the performances are bad, then there's no reason to keep him. If he's been unlucky, then you keep him. If he's just been not playing very well, then you remove him, and that's where we're at. He's been playing poorly, and his next. Actually, let's reset on my screen so I can show you the fixtures. His next fixture is against West Ham away, which, as I say to you guys, is not an easy fixture. Nottingham Forest away is a little bit better, but remember as well, guys, that Zaha is the exact kind of player. As soon as you sell him, he will score. That's what he does. But yeah, in terms of replacements for him, I would probably be looking at the likes of. Could we go for Would you go for Rashford now, or would you wait until after the international break? Aston Villa have been disappointing us, haven't they? It's an away game, though. We haven't got Fulham there. I did say last week that I do quite like the look of a Rashford or an Anthony as a 1 week punt in game week 16, but you could just do it 1 week earlier. That is an option. And it's something I was thinking about doing, is maybe doing Rashford in 16, but pull the trigger 1 week earlier? It's an option. Trossard has obviously been very good as well. Fixtures over the next two are Wolves and Aston Villa. Again, Aston Villa, their underlying stats have looked good, but I think they are starting to seriously dip. Wolves have just not been a great defence this season, not like they have been previously. So I think Wolves is a fine fixture. So Trossard is definitely in the conversation. Almiron, obviously, Southampton next for Newcastle. You can see Southampton, and then Chelsea after that. Chelsea conceding some chances. They are conceding some chances. And Newcastle are just in fine form. So yeah, Almiron, definitely an option. Would anyone want to take a punt on Reece Nelson if Saka's going to be out for a couple of game weeks? And you want to have that super budget player? Probably not. I'll probably just stick with Almiron, to be fair. But look, I don't hate Reece Nelson as a punt. If Saka is confirmed out, I don't hate it. Although I do wonder if Marquinhos maybe comes in and gets some game time. But I think Nelson's performance today has kind of said it all. Let's we'll have a look at some midfielders, then we'll have a look at some forwards, and then we will wrap things up, guys. I'm going to refresh this again so it stops saying nan at me. Right, midfielders. Last few game weeks. Who has been looking good? Let's go per appearance. Let's go per start, actually. The highest expected points is actually Willian, believe it or not, guys. So, you know, earlier on in the stream where I said Andreas to Willian? There you go. There you go. It's been hard low minutes players. Maybe take stuff off some of those players. Right, so, in terms of expected points, players looking the best at the moment. We've got Trossard, Salah. I know, by the way, I've seen a few of you guys in the chat saying, thinking about selling Salah. Really? Why? I thought we put in another good performance against Leeds. I think the Ilian Meslier put in an insane goalkeeping performances. Liverpool could have scored so many goals in that game. And Salah played very well. Salah could have had a haul in that game. I know he scored a goal, which is great, by the way. But he could have had even more. And we've seen Salah as well performing in other competitions. Salah's back. I do believe Salah's back. So anyone who's thinking about selling Salah, particularly if you're thinking about selling for De Bruyne, I don't think I would do that. I'd rather go a different angle. If you can try and get De Bruyne somehow, then, you know, maybe. But I don't think Salah is a sell, really. I'll try and keep him if possible. If you're desperate to get De Bruyne, then I guess fair enough. But I do prefer Foden still, despite everything. Anyway, we've got Willock up here. So Willock's underlying numbers are actually better than Almiron's right now. But we know that Almiron is just in that elite form right now. And sometimes you've got to take into consideration that form. So yeah, Almiron's up there as well. De Bruyne's up there as well. Jared Bowen's up there. I don't really think too many of you guys will be going for him. Odegaard, probably not. Barnes, I mean, Harvey Barnes is an option, by the way. I don't think he's a terrible option. But I would say that really the players that we're going to be looking at are Trossard, Almiron. I was hoping to see Rashford somewhere on here, but maybe he is a low minutes player. Is Rashford a low minutes player? Or his numbers just genuinely not that good? Where are you, Rashford? Can anyone see him? Am I going somewhat blind? There we are, Rashford down there. Martinelli, if you don't have him already, is obviously going to be an option for you. Do we throw in Anthony for the meme? Why not? I'm sure a few of you Manchester United fans are simping over the fidget spinning action. Foden, I'm going to throw in there as well as options for your Zaha replacements, if you like, or you just your midfielder replacements in general. Shall we leave it there? I think we shall. I mean, Rodrigo, who do Leeds face in the next two? Leeds face Game Week 15. They face Bournemouth at home, not bad. Spurs away, could be worse given the way the season's going. So, yeah, I think we throw in Rodrigo as an option. Another goal against Liverpool at the weekend. Should we leave it there? Yeah, okay. Right. So, in terms of those midfielders that you're looking at right now, like, excluding, like, KDB. Obviously, KDB is... You know, actually, should we just put KDB in? Yeah, let's put KDB in. Because maybe some of you guys can work that somehow. But yeah, these are the midfielders I would be looking to get in this game week. So it's like an extensive buy list for game week 15. Foden, still a player I would really, really like to have. Trossard, looking really good. If Trossard plays as a striker again in the next game week, mama, that could be pretty tasty. Pretty tasty indeed. Against Wolves there. De Bruyne, obviously, against Fulham. Almiron, not bad. These are the guys. Maybe I discount Rodrigo. Rodrigo I'm not super keen on. I'd probably discount Anthony as well. Aside from that, these are the players. Like, a lot of you guys have Martinelli already, understandably. Rashford I like more for game week 16, but there's no harm in getting him in one game week early if you really are looking for him. So, look, there you go. Those are the midfielders. I know three of you guys are kind of putting in some other shouts in there. Iwobi, Madison, Son. Not really too keen. If Iwobi was going to bang, it would have been this game week. This was against Fulham was the opportunity. I still think Everton's attack in general is just looking quite flat. I know they had that one game week. Was it game week 14 where they kind of went off? I don't expect that to happen too often, if I'm completely honest with you guys. So yeah, these are kind of the players I'd be looking at in terms of midfielders. Foden, Trossard, De Bruyne, Almiron, Martinelli, Rashford. Maybe outside shouts for Anthony and Rodrigo, but they are a little bit differential. But hey, randomness factor, right? Could work. Let's go to some forwards. I know you guys are talking about replacing Mitrovic. So let's throw in some forwards that have been performing well recently. Haaland, Kane, Firmino, Darwin. I've kind of lost confidence in Darwin. He's good on paper, but not on grass. Watkins, similar situation. Jesus, fixtures aren't great, but I still think he's worth having a look at. I would even, like, I know we're talking about replacing Mitrovic. Maybe we're talking about replacing Tony as well, because I know Tony is obviously going to be suspended for game week 15. You know what? The more I think about it, if Haaland is unavailable, if Saka is also injured, if Tony, well, he is suspended, this could actually be a game week where the problems start to pile up a little bit. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But alas. So Tony, obviously, we can't consider because he doesn't play, which is a shame because it's actually quite a good fixture for Tony. I'm sure Tony owners were quite excited to see what he could do in game week 15, but it wasn't to be. And we need not really Keane, Ings. The fixtures aren't bad for Aston Villa, but yeah, no. More? Are we considering more? Or is that knee-jerk? It's knee-jerk, isn't it? Welbeck? I don't know. Callum Wilson's obviously going to be there in conversation. And Mbumo. He gets a lot of chances, but again, he doesn't finish them off, does he? Should we leave it there? Is Edward worth a thought, possibly? Solanke's still probably worth a thought. Wouldn't be top of the list, but he's higher than some options, and they are quite cheap. All right, let's leave it there. So, these are Skamaka. I don't think so. Got substituted like 57 minutes today. Who do West Ham face? I don't think they've got great fixtures, have they? Crystal Palace next. That's not bad. And Leicester. Yeah, Leicester's not such a great fixture these days. Leicester are keeping it fairly tight defensively. So, no, I don't think I'd be going with Skamaka. I'm a bit too risky. Like, if you want to go for it, then go for it by all means. But not for me. DCL, not him either. Right, these are the players. I'm going to limit it to these guys in terms of the players I would be considering for Tony replacements / Mitrovic replacements. That is it. Greg in this chat, by the way, says, now is a good time to go for your gut feelings if you have any. That is absolutely agree. If you have some gut feelings, I would go for it. There's no harm in trying. Kane has 4 yellow cards. Jesus has 4 yellow cards. Yeah, I know, but there's only 2 game weeks left. What are the chances of him then picking up that yellow card in 2 games? If there was like 4 games, then I'd be like, yeah. But we get to unlimited. You know, if they get a yellow card, well, they basically, for that to cause you a problem, they would have to get a yellow card in game week 15. Because if they get a yellow card in game week 16, then it doesn't matter because you have unlimited transfer. So I don't think so. People are asking about Calvert-Lewin. Did you guys watch the game? Did you watch Everton attack? It didn't look good. And their fixtures, you know, Fulham was the best possible fixture. If they were going to dominate in any game, it would have been that one. Everton's fixtures next. Leicester. We have to get in our heads, guys. Leicester is not a good fixture anymore for an attacker. It's not. We have to move with the times. Bournemouth, it's an okay fixture. But remember as well, guys, Calvert-Lewin is 7.9 million. If you want to go there, fair enough. I am not touching it. I am absolutely not touching it. Fayad says, I got 75 points to reach top 47k. Not bad, Fayad. Not bad at all. But yeah, go watch Calvert-Lewin and then tell me if you reckon he's worth 7.9 million. I'm not saying he's a bad player, by the way, and I'm not saying he won't get anything, but when we've got the likes of, you know, some of these other players that we have here, some with better fixtures, some for a lot cheaper, got to consider him. I'm going to kind of half remove some of these players. Kane, I'm going to half remove because I still feel like, to be honest, like before I was, you know, saying that Kane is probably the second best premium, but he has kind of slowly dipped down, hasn't he? Kane and Spurs in general just not look good recently. So, you know, Haaland is still the best premium we can have, but I would put De Bruyne and Salah up there at higher than Kane. So, therefore, that kind of discounts Kane in many ways. Jesus plays against Chelsea next, which I still don't think he's a bad pick, even with that. Mitrovic plays against Man City next. You're probably not going to buy him, are you? If you have him, you might keep him, but you're probably not going to buy him, right? Edouard and Solanke are a little bit of punts, kind of cheap-ish. Solanke at least is on penalties, which is good, but hasn't really been getting too many opportunities to score the last couple of games, has he? Maybe that's, to be fair, maybe that's because the fixtures have been difficult. If we look at the last couple of fixtures, West Ham away, Spurs at home for Bournemouth. They weren't ideal fixtures, and they do get better now. Leeds away, Everton at home. These are going to be like games where the forwards are going to get a lot of chances to score. So maybe that picks up. So I don't totally mind. I'll close that. I don't totally mind Solanke. So yeah, in terms of those forwards that we're going for this game week, it's not that broad. It's not that broad. Haaland, obviously, most of you guys already have. Firmino, kind of like, it feels very punty, doesn't it? Jesus, he's okay against Chelsea next though. Are you going to buy him? It's pretty much just Callum Wilson, isn't it? I mean, if we're looking through these and thinking, really, who are we actually passionate about bringing into our FPL teams? It's Wilson, right? Don't know. Wilson. Josh says Solanke was starting to get better data against Southampton and West Ham, then got injured before half-time. That's a good point, to be fair. There was that. Yeah, we did have the injuries. Darwin, I don't know. I don't know about Darwin. He's not finishing his dinner, is he? He's got a lovely roast dinner. It's a Sunday. He's got a lovely Sunday roast in front of him, and he's refusing to tuck in. Best long-term striker, says CJ. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, a good point, by the way, guys. I've probably wrongly assumed that everyone will know this, but just a reminder that from game week 17, for game week 17, we do have unlimited transfers. So when you're thinking about bringing your players in, we only need to think about the next 2 game weeks. 2 game weeks is all that matters. 15 and 16. That's the whole narrow slice of games that we need to be looking at right now. Everything else, save it for another day. We're gonna be playing World Cup fantasy football between game week, the end of game week 16 and the start of game week 17. We're gonna be playing World Cup fantasy. We will not even be thinking about it. So park it. Park any of your thoughts on the long term. Let's just think about next 2 game weeks. It doesn't matter. After that, we get unlimited transfers. We literally start again, essentially. It's like a second start to the season. It's like FPL 2022-23 part 2. That's a lot of numbers. But there we go. So yeah, I look through these forwards, and it's Wilson is for your forward replacement. Assuming you already have Haaland, Wilson is so obvious. So obvious. Sean says, Dan, I commented on this during the week. How do you feel about putting Rashford in as a bad transfer? I didn't like it. You know, I still there was no chance I was going to go for Rashford last game week, and maybe I was wrong. But like it was a 1-0. I said it's going to be a low scoring game. I don't expect United to get many goals in this. Rashford obviously hadn't got a single FPL return in 2 months. I didn't feel like Rashford was the right way to go. To be honest, I prefer Saka. It's funny how things work out, isn't it? Foden I preferred as well. That's football. That's FPL. But no, I probably do feel, and even as we got towards the end of the week, I was already starting to regret saying Rashford is a bad transfer. I still feel like he was a void, a player I wouldn't be too keen on. But to say he's a bad transfer was probably a little bit harsh on my part. So I'll hold my hands up on that one. Yeah, that was just wrong of me to say it's a bad transfer. And in fairness to me as well, I did say I don't like this fixture, but going forward, I like the look of him for like a game week 16 punt. Still do. And this is why I'm saying, if you've lost faith in certain one of your midfielders, you can go 1 week early on Rashford. I probably will take a 1 week punt on Rashford in 16 personally. But if you are really like the look of Rashford, then go for him. Go 1 week early. But look, it's one of those things. Every other, I've put Rashford in the avoid section a few times. The other times I've been right. So, look, it balances out. You don't always get things 100% right. In a game week like a game week 14, you don't get very many things right. It's been an absolute stinker for me. And look, I can only apologise. I wish with all my heart that I could give you guys the perfect solutions, the perfect answers every single game week. Fortunately, sometimes it's just not possible. Boxy Kevin says, double L. I don't know what any of those things mean. Should I be reading this out? I always worry when I don't understand a message. I don't know if I should read it out. Double L. Davis, Clyde, Everett, Carter, for J. Taylor. I don't know what any of that means. Is that a different sport? It sounds like it could be a different sport. It's in dollars, so is this American football? If so, I think you may be lost, Boxy Kevin, but I appreciate the super chat regardless. I don't know. El Saka's injury doesn't look good. Yeah, guys, we're going to wrap things up. We're going to have a look at some price change predict. Actually, we'll have a very quick look. We've covered a lot today. We'll have a very quick look at points predictors. Then we'll do price change predictors, and then we'll wrap things up. But there we go, guys. Here we have for game week 15 the highest predicted points for the game week. So De Bruyne is number 1, Haaland is number 2, and that is taking his injury into consideration, I believe. So if Haaland is available, so yeah, you can see here Haaland predicted minutes 66. So it does take that into consideration when it works it out, because it does it kind of on an average. So if Haaland is available and plays 90 minutes, that's going to be a mega score, basically. But yeah, De Bruyne, Haaland, Cancelo, Bernardo is up there because he's got high predicted minutes. I imagine Foden, he's only predicted 59 minutes, which is why he's down at 5.4 predicted points. But that's pretty high for 59 minutes predicted minutes. Obviously, Callum Wilson is up there. Hey. Another way of easily deciding to go for Callum Wilson as your Tony replacement, as your Mitrovic replacement, if you like. Oh, that was NFL fantasy. I thought it might be. Son is up there, but who knows? Salah's up there, but who knows? Son, Salah, Kane are always going to be up there for predicted points because they're, we consider them top quality players who can score against anyone. Calvert-Lewin is up there, but I think this is wrong. I don't back this one. AI, I disagree with you. I disagree with Danny Ings as well. I disagree with Aaronson. Well, I don't hate Aaronson as a pick, don't get me wrong, but no, I wouldn't put him as one of the top picks for the game week. Kanji is up there. Surely we'll want to be going for some more Man City attackers, but maybe a Kanji. There you go. There we go. That's that. Gibbs White, that's an interesting shout. Brentford at home is a good fixture, by the way, for Nottingham Forest. So if you did fancy a punt on a Nottingham Forest attacker, I wouldn't mind it. Anyway, there you go. There's your points predictions for game week 15. Let's have a look at some price changes. So, Ben Mee is going up tonight. Guys, don't buy Ben Mee. The reason he's rapidly going up in price, he's going to go up in price tonight. That's not a good pick. Brentford's defence is just not the one. And their fixtures aren't even that good. I would not really be doing that. Granit Xhaka maybe going up this week. Probably not. Trippier on to go up again. He's just the GOAT, isn't he? Just the GOAT. These other players, they're all kind of trending downwards in the price predictions. So I don't really think any of these other guys will go up this week other than me and Trippier. Let's go to the next page. We'll see if we get anything else looking likely to go up tonight. Well, not tonight, but this week. So De Bruyne probably goes up this week. Pope possibly. Dalot possibly goes up again. Maybe. Callum Wilson will go up again. Callum Wilson will get a second price rise this before the game week 15 deadline. No doubt about that. So if you are tight on budget, make sure you are doing that sooner rather than later. Mitrovic is trending upwards, which is interesting. I don't think that will last very long. Castagna is trending upwards as well. I don't mind going in on a Leicester defender now. I don't mind as much as I did last week ahead of the Man City game. there's an option. Cancelo trending upwards. Almiron's probably going to get another price rise this week as well. So there's a few players looking likely to go up. In terms of players dropping in price, it'll be all of these you see on screen. So Ward, Prowse, Eriksen, Archer. Actually, after Eriksen's assist, maybe he keeps his price. But I mean, who's going for him anyway? Kilman possibly going down there. Haaland may go down in price, which is interesting. People are going to, if Haaland's available, people are going to regret that. Someone says, is Wilson going up tonight? I don't think so. Tony's going to go down in price. Reece James is going to go down in price again. Zaha, he looks like he's going to sink to the bottom of the sea. Koulibaly, Salah possibly. Salah dropping down in price is interesting. I know people want to go for De Bruyne, but Salah is not that bad. He's not that bad. How can you back Salah but not De Bruyne, says Greg? Oh, I'm backing both. I think De Bruyne is, if you could have both, then they're both great picks. De Bruyne is probably the better player to have right now, but that doesn't make Salah a bad pick. That's kind of the point I was making. De Bruyne is better, but that doesn't mean Salah is bad. I think Salah's playing pretty well recently. Plus, who knows what's going to happen in this Spurs game? It could be crazy. But anyway, guys, let's wrap it up there. There's your price change predictions. Basically, guys, we're seeing a lot of randomness. That doesn't mean we can't still try our best, see what we can do. Wilson is the obvious forward to go for in terms of midfielders. Almiron, Trossard, and Rashford look like the big three. If Haaland is injured, or if you want to get a different premium player in, maybe you want to remove Kane. Maybe if you desperately want to remove Salah, fine. If you want to go from that premium player, De Bruyne is a good pick for this game week for sure. Foden, I'd still be looking at getting. Basically, that's the strategy this week. And remember, only think about 2 more game weeks. That's all we've got to think about. 2 more game weeks. But let's wrap it up there, guys. Guys, make sure you are leaving a like on this stream. It really does help so much. And it also tells me that I'm doing something right. Because sometimes I do, like game weeks like this, I am genuinely get a bit of imposter syndrome thinking, what on earth am I doing here? I know there has been a lot of randomness this game week. There just has. And no one can convince me otherwise. But I still feel like a strong obligation to try and give you guys the best advice. I know I'm not a pro or anything, but I just like to talk about FPL. That's kind of the priority, but still, lets me know I'm doing a good job, so I really do appreciate that. Of course, subscribe if you're new around here. We've got a new target on screen. You might have noticed here, I've updated the subscriber target. We're going for 175,000 subscribers by January 2023. I think that's going to be possible. It's a lot of subscribers, I know, to gain between now and then. But with the World Cup fantasy, I think we can do it. So there we go. But yeah, let's call it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really do appreciate you. Commiserations on a very difficult game week for most of us, right? We go again next game week. Hopefully Man City, Erling Haaland is going to carry us back to victory. And let's get on with the content for game week 15. Let's start chatting about it. There we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching once again. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.